Let's turn to sports now, where the New Orleans Saints are on the road this weekend, taking on the Seattle Seahawks, and they're hoping to snap their 2-game losing streak to start the season. With a new head coach, a lot of moving parts, the Saints have a lot to rebuild. Early this week, I talked to Saints reporter Sara Palczewski to get her take. Great to have Sara Palczewski, who covers the Saints for NBC 33 and Fox 44 in Baton Rouge, back with us to talk about the beginning of the 2025 season. Sara, it's great to see you. The Saints 0-2 to start the season. I don't think that's a surprise to many, but you've been with them since camp. Evaluate for us what you've seen in the first 2 games from your team.
Look, looking at the Saints team, going into the season, it wasn't going to be pretty. We kind of figured this is how things would go, and they'd kind of be similar to that Washington Commanders team from last year, where they were rebuilding, but were competitive in a lot of those games. And in a lot of those games, a lot of luck fell to Washington and that rookie quarterback, former LSU quarterback, Jaden Daniels last year. So the Saints didn't have that luxury to have Jaden Daniels as their quarterback, so they were going to need a lot of luck to be in these games. But we knew they'd be competitive. They're scrappy. They have a lot of fight. And that's something that Kellen Moore has really preached to his team since training camp began. He really wanted to preach that play style where they never gave up. And that's something we're kind of seeing through the first 2 weeks. They're not giving up, even though the defense has every right after that first week where they gave the offense the opportunity to get the ball back and tie that game. They had every opportunity to not do that again this past week against the 49ers. And they did it not once, but twice. There's no fight. There's no stop fighting in this team, and that's something Kellen Moore really likes. And eventually that may lead to some of those luckier positions at ends of games where they can steal a win at the end just because of how they are playing.
2 things you said. Rebuild, you said that word, and Kellen Moore. I think Saints fans understand, even if the Saints aren't going to officially say it, they are in a rebuild. They've had to deal with some salary issues and trying to change things around in the program. But then there's the Kellen Moore issue. We've seen him successful as a coordinator. You've watched them all through camp and through the first 2 games. What are your impressions of the style he wants to bring in New Orleans?
I really like the Kellen Moore era, and it's something you can kind of feel. It's a little bit different than we've seen, especially under Dennis Allen. It's a lot more player-based system where Kellen Moore was a former player in the NFL. He understands the schedules, the time constraints, what everybody wants. Something they all talked about during training camp is how efficient he was with their time. He didn't want people to be out on the practice field longer than they had to or be in meetings longer than they had to. That's why we saw a training camp when they were doing full 11-on-11 team drills or walkthroughs. They had 2 fields going at once, so you had double the reps in the same amount of time. And that's something we've seen, and a lot of players feel like that's a good thing to have, that he gets and understands them. And he's built this culture. He wanted to build this team bonding. They did a lot of those activities in the offseason. They went golfing, they did paintball, they did community service. And that's something we're kind of seeing. This team is really close, and I think that's important, especially when you're starting off 0-2 and have a chance to maybe start 0-4. Just having that team culture still there and be kind of still a positive light.
Everybody will look right away at the quarterback position. As we know, Spencer Rattler still looking for his first career win, but I'm not sure he's the reason why they've lost these 2 games. His numbers, the passing numbers haven't been way up there, but no interceptions. Still coming along. Have you seen any growth from him from your observations, because you've been with the team for a while, from where you saw him last year to maybe the first 2 games of this year?
The growth is incredible from year 1 to year 2, and we're really seeing that, especially with his decision-making by not turning over the ball. Just 1 turnover in 2 games, and that was a fumble at the end of the game. He didn't really have a chance to even get that ball off. The defender came pretty much clean unblocked right at him. So you can't knock him too much for that, but no interceptions. He's making good decisions, and we talked to him on Wednesday, and just listening to his process of understanding when to take those risks, when to take those 3-point shots. He referred everything back to basketball, like those deep balls are the 3-point shots, when to take those and when to take the easy layups and dump offs. Like, we're seeing him check the ball down a lot more to Alvin Kamara and a lot of his playmakers, because his coaching staff, Doug Nussmeier, Scott Tolzien, and Kellen Moore, have told him it might be a 1 or 2 yard pass, but those guys have the playmaking ability to turn it into an 8-yard gain. So that's something he's kind of seen, and we're seeing that in his growth. And it's certainly the turnovers and interceptions are going to come. This is the NFL. At some point, he's going to throw one. But right now, that decision making is some of the best. And if you compare him to other year 2 quarterbacks in the league, rating-wise, he's better than Bo Nix, Caleb Williams, and J.J. McCarthy, all guys that were taken much higher than him in that draft.
Yeah, Saints fans have oftentimes said, look, there's a way to get a 25-yard pass. You can throw it 20 and run 5, or throw it 5 and run 20, to your point. Dump it off to some of that talent. Alvin Kamara, rushing-wise, a very slow start for Kamara. He has been a short-end receiver, as you mentioned to him. Is it just time? We know what Kamara can do. Are there things that Saints fans might be wondering is going on that maybe you know that they don't, or has it just been a slow start for Kamara?
I don't believe it is a slow start for Kamara. He looks really good running the ball. He had a 100-yard game to begin the season. He's doing well. I think the Saints are struggling to get those explosive runs, just especially on the inside. And if you look at the interior of the Saints offensive line, they're banged up. They're playing a backup with Trevor Penning out and Dylan Radins out in left guard. Yep. You got Cesar Ruiz, who's kind of struggled recently to begin the year at right guard as well. So you're not getting that inside blocking as much as you need to get those explosive plays. But Kamara's been very steady, very consistent. Take that fumble out that was very un-Kamara.
Very rare, yes.
Very rare. And it was also a weird play. Was it a catch? Was it not a catch? But he's doing very well. And I think the system Kellen Moore is doing a great job of utilizing him and getting those reps in and making sure they're running the ball. That was something they really struggled with in week one. They had to go to the passing game a lot more and play that way, to play catch up. So I think the ideal situation for Kellen Moore's offense is to build that game off Alvin Kamara and the run game and not get in too many passing situations where they have to rely on that and limit those reps to Kamara and Kendre Miller.
See, and that's why you're an insider and I'm not, because you know he's not struggling maybe as people might think. Next up for the Saints, they're up in the Great Northwest taking on the Seattle Seahawks this Sunday. Sarah, it's always great to visit with you. Great job on your work. We look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks. Great to be here.
You can catch Sara Palczewski, Fox 44 and NBC 33 in Baton Rouge, covering your New Orleans Saints.